My name is Lennox Matsinde, CEO and co-founder of Satoshi's Index. I'm joined by my co-founder Kevin here, and I'll let him introduce himself in a sec. So, just context: my background's in software engineering. Went to school for computer science. Went into corporate America as a software engineer. Spent a good chunk of time doing data modeling and predictive analytics. Most recently for Starbucks corporate, where I'm also leading some Web3 initiatives in the blockchain and NFT space. So got into Web3 in 2017 by way of crypto, started building trading algorithms over the last few years, found some success there, trading ETH and Bitcoin, and extended that to foreign currencies. So backgrounds in computer science as well as finance via the School of Hard Knocks, where I've been an algorithmic trader for quite some time. And then Kevin, I'll kick it to you for your intro.
Thanks, Lennox. Hey, Hunter, nice to meet you. Kevin Villatoro, living in Brooklyn, currently traveling in Austin, Texas right now. But I have a background in finance. That's what one of my degrees was in. I got my Series 7. Then I realized that finance wasn't for me, so I did a hard pivot into marketing. But around that time, I also got into crypto. So that was in around 2013, I would say. I started mining Litecoin and various other altcoins. So I had a pretty cool GPU rig back in the day. So yeah, Lennox and I have been in the crypto space for a while. But now what occupies most of the time outside of Satoshi's Index is I do Fortune 500 company marketing at a big advertising firm in New York, at Dentsu. You might be familiar. They're top five based on global size and market share. But yeah, I will pass it back to Lennox so we can dive into Satoshi's Index.
Sweet, thanks, Kevin. Can you shift to the next slide? So I'm gonna pause here for a second and kind of go a little bit off script. I'm gonna do this reverse and start with like market, because I think it helps frame the conversation and provide some context around what we're building and why. So when you look at just investor behavior, especially in this current market, we found that there's a class of investor that's drawn to crypto for a variety of reasons. Some people are drawn to crypto because of the volatility. Some people are drawn to crypto because of its ability to act as a hedge against different market risks. Some are drawn to just the concept of decentralization, and others, a combination of all of these things. Some people just love the technology, they love the blockchain, and they believe in the upside trajectory. So, with I think the numbers most recently, Binance has like 90 million active users across the world. You can go back to that last slide. Hold on. Binance has like 90 million users across the world, and I think Coinbase has, I think, over 100 million users. So there's a lot of people that are drawn to crypto for a variety of reasons. What we found is within that class of investor, there's different competencies. On the one end of the spectrum, there's people that get it. They understand crypto and they're in the weeds. They're trading, they're flipping back and forth between different currencies. So they're very competent. And on the other end of the spectrum, there's people that are interested, but they have no clue where to start. Somewhere within that spectrum is the market that we've kind of targeted, which is the individuals that are interested in crypto. They have disposable income. They want to be involved, but they don't have the time nor the know-how to really do this investing process justice. And that class of investor is often drawn to index style investing products. This is the type of person that maybe, outside of their 401k, perhaps they invest in index funds and they just toss, some money every week or every month into a fund, and they just believe that it's going to keep going up for, again, whatever, a variety of reasons. What we found is the solutions, and I guess you can go to the next slide, Kevin. The solutions for this, the solutions catering to this class of investor in the crypto space are basically non-existent. I think the one main index fund we were tracking for a while was Bitwise, and they stopped taking on outside capital for a really long time ago. And there's really not a lot of options for an investor that's seeking a simple and easy to understand investing solution. So here we try to frame up the problem. A lot of long-term crypto investing solutions are way behind the traditional market. People don't have the time to really go deep and come up with an investing strategy on their own. Again, because there aren't not a, and there are also not a lot of index style products to cater to those folks. There are some solutions on the market that allow you to configure fancy algorithms, but for those, you actually kind of need to know what you're doing. You need to have the knowledge on how the market moves. You need to know what indicators to use and whatnot. And some of them can even be too technical. So a lot of people shy away from those tools. Next slide. So what we decided to do was create a solution that goes after that sliver of the market. A solution that essentially simulates an index fund and meets the demands of that investor demographic that we defined. And that is what Satoshi's index is. What we do is we leverage proven momentum-based dollar cost averaging investing strategies to give people exposure to the crypto markets. And our core product, the one we took to market right at the beginning, was a dynamic index that uses momentum as the key indicator, as well as a few other things, to create this dynamic index. And we built a data model using Binance's data, so world largest exchange, going back to when they began. And Kevin will dive into some of the returns in a little bit here. But what we found was if you were dollar cost averaging into just Bitcoin from like 2017 up until middle of last year when we last ran this model, we found that your returns cumulative were hovering, I think it might have been over 600% if I'm not mistaken. And if you were going to do the exact same thing, but instead of just focusing on a single asset, instead of just focusing on Bitcoin, you diversified across a larger basket of currencies. In this case, after our data modeling, we found the sweet spot to be around 10 holdings in the portfolio. Your returns doubled. So like at that point, I think it was over 1,300% or something like that. And that's doing the exact same thing. You're dollar cost averaging, but instead of just being focused and concentrated on a single asset, you have spread your capital and you now have exposure to like smaller cap coins that are still performing really well. So I'm going to kick it off to Kevin. Kevin, you want to take it from here?
We do have some returns. So this graph indicates when Binance actually opened up their API data. So before this, it was really hard to get numbers. We would have liked to go back further to train our model on, but we decided to use a single exchange because that's how people buy crypto typically, right? Like they're not bouncing around to various different exchanges unless they're an advanced user. So Binance's data started around the end of 2017, early 2018. And so what we wanted to do was compare the performance of our model, the historical returns, of like other options that we determined were comparable if someone was interested in an index style investing product that they would also consider, right? So obviously you've got the S&P 500 in there. Education's a big part of what we do at Satoshi's Index. And a lot of the times we're talking to people who are familiar with or already investing in the S&P 500, part of their 401k plans, part of their retirement plans. So they get the index style idea and they fully bought into it, right? Probably because they didn't have any other choice, but they also recognize that a lot of the managed funds out there don't outperform the S&P 500. I think 90% of the managed funds just can't compete with it over a few year period. Bitwise was also an index product that Lennox mentioned earlier that's no longer accepting capital. Their returns were pretty sizable too, definitely compared to the S&P 500. And then we've got our returns as well, which, at the beginning of 2022 is when we really wanted to highlight, because that's really when the bear market started. And these products perform best in a bull market. I know the last presentation had forecasting for bull and bear markets, which I thought was interesting. But, that's kind of the nature of crypto markets, right? And the more adoption that crypto has, the more it kind of mirrors the S&P 500 and equities as a whole. So it is interesting to note that Satoshi's Index is outperforming not only these options, that are listed on the screen, but also Bitcoin as well. So right now we've got the single product that dollar cost average invests into this bucket of dynamic cryptocurrencies that's changing. And by all means, providing pretty good historical returns. But we definitely want to expand. Lennox mentioned that decentralized exchanges were something that we were interested in pursuing. And it's actually been a big feature request for some of our users. So we've been running this product for a little over a year now. And the first iteration was a little different than the iteration that we have now, but we'll get into that a little later. And what we've realized is our customers right now, they're interested in expanding exchange support. So not only centralized exchanges, but also decentralized exchanges as well. We're also looking to add various different retail investing tools. This could be other styles of indexes. We definitely want to include something like a metaverse index for coins who resonate strongly in there, a DeFi index for more financial based tokens. Gaming was a topic of the previous presentation, so we think there's a large interest in that sort of index as well. And then on top of that, because of all the advancements going on in AI, we think that there's some key opportunities to use AI to train new investing models that we really want to start building like right now. All right, it's pretty high on our list as far as it's probably, I would say, higher on our list than just expanding into the other types of indexes that we might offer in the future. But all of these things will help feed into an inspirational product that we also want to start working on later this year. And that's an institutional product. So mainly our customer focus base has been retail investors. We think there could be a huge opportunity to scale this with institutional style investors and more of a B2B solution.
Why don't you have institutional investors currently? Is that just a marketing issue? You haven't targeted that market?
So yeah, I'll jump in real quick on that. So when we started this journey, we made it a point to prove out this thesis. We wanted to prove out the thesis and crawl, walk, run, and not take on too much, right, as a bootstrap startup. So the easiest way to, especially in Web3, the easiest way to prove out a thesis, right, is just put something out there into the market and see how much uptake you get. And obviously, we got enough validation from the community, by people using our product actively, from the retail community, and that urged us to continue going. Now, when you talk about an institutional client, that's a little bit of a slightly different product, right? Because now the revenue model shifts a little bit. It's no longer just a straight SaaS model like it is now. But also, there's likely going to be a lot more custom work, like custom integrations, depending on the client that you get. So long story short, targeting retail investors to start was an easier lift and allowed us to gain a little bit of momentum and traction before we take on the next phase of the journey, which is launching an institutional product. Because at the end of the day, if we can't prove this out in retail, the likelihood that this is going to land with institutions is lower. So that's why we made that decision.
Okay. One of the reasons I was asking is I was wondering if maybe you're getting to this, but what sort of regulatory hurdles you've had to clear, if there was anything additional for institutional type customers.
That's another thing. So when I say there's a lot of admin overhead that comes with taking on an institutional client, that's one of them, right? When you are an algorithmic, a solution that's not holding custody and not charging a fee, right? Because we're a straight SaaS model. We are in this, little sliver of a gray area where we're not considered a money manager. Now, the moment you start charging a fee, which we would be doing with an institutional client, now you are in this other bucket, and now there's all the regulatory stuff that comes with that. So. Which is something we're working towards, but from a go-to-market timeline perspective, we wanted to start with a low-hanging fruit, which is retail.
Got it.
So how our product works, just to give you an idea of our existing product that's been out there for a little over a year at this point. It's pretty straightforward. You set up by creating your accounts. You either sign up for a subscription via our fiat gateway. So you can use your Visa, your MasterCard, whatever credit card you have on hand. Or, and this is how we initially launched this product, you can access the platform through an NFT. So originally, you could only access the platform through an NFT. You had to mint an NFT. I think we raised around 70 grand just selling NFTs. People were interested in the product. They were minting an NFT to access the product. But of course, this isn't sustainable long term. So since then we've actually stopped selling NFTs. We do have some great marketing ideas around NFTs in the future. So we're actually planning a free mint coming up soon, which will give users access to the platform for like 3 months, like an extended trial period. Which we think could be a great marketing experiment to then transform those trial members into paying monthly or annual subscription members as well. So once someone accesses the platform through one of those methods, then we can pair the Satoshi Index platform with their exchange via API keys. So they just need to generate some API keys, and we have like very special instructions, explicit instructions on like what privileges they need to grant us, which is essentially just read only and trade. And if they actually give us transfer access, the platform won't work, and it'll give them a warning, because we don't want that to even be a possibility outside. And then finally, the tool will dollar cost average invest into the index of the top 10 coins every week or month or whatever cadence they choose. All these coins, again, live on their exchange. We're not a custodian. It was just easier for us to run with that model. So, we're not charging fees and we're not holding anyone's coins. And also it removes a lot of liability from us as well, and gives everyone the option to cash out their coins instantly if they want to. There's massive liquidity on exchanges, but also they can transfer the coins out if they want to as well. If they want to, if they have a stockpile of Ethereum that the tool has been buying them for the past year, and they see an NFT that they want to buy, they can transfer it out to another platform and buy it there, or some other like digital good in that sense, right? So it gives the users a lot of flexibility in that sense.
Cool.
So we did develop some proprietary Web3 technology, and a lot of it is around the NFT minting and access that I just described previously. So users would mint the NFT, they would connect their MetaMask to our website, so we can recognize that they're holding an NFT, and then by through that process, we can then grant them access to our platform. And then this is also checking in the background to see if they sold the NFT, right, on the secondary market. They won't have access to our platform anymore. So a lot of these custom features that we developed were new to the space, especially in an application sense. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Lennox.
Yeah, and I know we're kind of we're coming up on time here, so I'll just kind of breeze through this. We're probably one of the first companies out there to tokenize software licenses. So even though that's not our core business, that is something cool. We don't have a patent on this, unfortunately. But I think this is a use case that we're going to continue to see in the software as a service space. And obviously, yeah, we get revenue from the secondary market each time those software licenses are sold, which again, pretty cool use case for NFTs. Can you jump to the next slide? You want to talk a little bit about this?
Yep, sure. So as far as competition, back when we started this journey a little bit over a year and a half ago, we weren't impressed with the competition, and we still aren't impressed with the competition. So all the way to the left, you've got like the real manual lifts and the expensive option, 3 commas, which you may be familiar with. Custom trading bots, essentially, they are the custom trading bot platform. If you want to spin up a bot and automate some trades, you probably will go with 3 commas. They're expensive. I mean, to spin up something that we've created, the user would be paying, I don't know, 2-3 times what we're charging. The last time I checked, they just raised prices again. Also, a lot of users just don't have the knowledge to create a custom algorithm and trading cadences and figuring all that out on their own. For the type of customer we're targeting, they don't have time for that, and they just want to set something up in 5 minutes and go, which is what we offer. Bitwise, we've talked about previously. They're an index fund for crypto, but they're not accepting outside capital. And when they were, you were paying 3% fees, expense ratios on top of that. So that was extremely expensive for people who jumped on that boat. Murdex is a relatively newer solution compared to the other two. They have index products, but they are custodians, and they also charge around 2.5% fees as well. So the trading fees literally eat you alive, and it's a lot more expensive than the product that we've offered, which is subscription based. So really the only fees outside of the subscription that the user is paying are the exchange fees, which, as you know, are a fraction of what everyone else is charging.
Mhm.
We don't have time for the video walkthrough, but we can share a link with you afterward. It just kind of goes through like all the features that we have here.